Hello and welcome to my channel. If you've been here before, welcome back. My name is Alfonso Peluso and I'm a Studio Associate Professor in the College of Architecture at IIT, the home of the legendary Mies van der Rohe, and I'm adjunct faculty at Columbia College Chicago in the Interior Architecture program. Shout out to all my students. I hope you're having a great day. I'm having a great one. We're getting so close to the end of the semester here, and I'm very excited about that. I'm sure you are too. Today we're going to look at Revit rendering with materials, so applying materials in Revit. Alright, before we do that, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'm so close to 7,000 subscribers. Go ahead and help me get to 7,000 subscribers by clicking on the subscribe button and clicking on the little bell to receive all of the notifications. Also, connect with me on Instagram. Love to see what you're up to. Check out what I'm up to, making videos, posting student work, lots of good stuff there. And I'm close to 1,500 followers. Help me get to 1,500 followers. Alright, let's jump into Revit. Alright, so materials. Let me open up the file that I worked on in the last video. So the last video I made was just a Revit rendering basics video, and we looked at setting up this scene. So we set up the scene with a little bit of, not a little bit, but one piece of furniture that we looked at Revit City, and we found that. So let's go ahead and start with the floor. So we're going to turn this floor into a wood flooring. So when we're working in Revit on materials, we want to change our display style. So our display style or visual style, we're going to change that to realistic. And that's going to allow us to see the actual materials that we apply. We don't have any applied at the moment. Alright, so let's go ahead and we're going to go over to the web and we're going to find a wood flooring seamless texture. Alright. Okay, so we did this in a recent video where we did this with Rhino, and I talked about the idea that we really want, or one of the principles for this is we want to find something that's fairly square, almost square, and is a lot of area, a lot of material, square footage. So something with not a lot of area would be this piece, right? It doesn't cover very much, but this piece covers a lot more than that. And there's another piece here that's a little bit of a different color, a lighter color. Okay, so this covers a decent amount of square footage, and it's square, 600 by 600. It's not too high of a resolution. We don't want these at 3600 or 4000 or 6000 because they start to eat up too much of the computer's memory, and they'll slow any rendering software down that you're using. So I'm going to open this one, open image in new tab, and I'm going to go ahead and save this image. Alright, and I like to give it a name. I mean, this one's not too bad. It already has a decent name. It's called Wood Fine. But if it's some, obscure name, just give it a name, Wood Texture, something like that, so you know what it is. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. Okay, so now I need to figure out what size this is. And I can do that in Photoshop, or I can do it in this little preview that I have here. So what I need to do is I need to count how many planks this material sample has. So if I go ahead and do that, I can start to count this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay, this one's a little harder to count because you don't really see the lines of the wood flooring. So 25, let's say, that's a good number to round to anyway. Now, wood flooring planks can be a lot of sizes. They can be 1.25 inches, they can be 2.5 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches. So I'm going to go a little on the large side. And I know these are not 4 inches, these are not 4-inch planks, but I do like to exaggerate the size of my material just a little bit. Okay, so it shows up in the rendering. It's not too fine of detail where you can't see what kind of material it is. So let's say that these are 25 times 4. That's 100 inches. Okay, so we can round that to, let's say, we can round it to 9 feet. Okay, it's about 108 inches. So we'll say that this is 9 square feet of flooring material. So we will go with that. So keep that in mind when we get to Revit, 9 square feet. All right, let's go over to Revit. Let's select our wood, or our floor. And so this is a little different the way that we apply the material. So what I want to do is I want to make the material first. So if I go to my main menu and I go to manage, I'm going to get my materials button all the way on the far left, this checkerboard sphere here, and I'm going to click on materials. And at the very bottom there is a plus, and there's a down arrow to the right of that. So this is where I'm going to create a new material. Okay, so when I create that new material, it automatically makes a new material. It's called default new materials. That's a little tricky, just so you know that that's what has happened. So if I want to right click on that, I can rename it. I'm going to call this wood floor. I'm going to put my initials in there because Revit has a lot of materials already made, because it automatically assigns materials by category. So floors already have materials, columns already have them. So there are materials already applied. So sometimes it's hard to find yours in the sea of the materials. So I just made it wood floor and then my initials AP. Okay, so now I'm going to go over to the tab that is appearance. Okay, and I'm going to apply this image. So where it says image, I'm going to go to the down arrow to the far right, and I'm going to click on image. Okay, and now I'm going to browse for my wood floor material. Okay, so that's been applied here. Now let's go with applying that material first before we change the size of it. So I'm going to click OK. So all we've done is we've just made a material. Okay, we haven't applied it or assigned it. So there's a shortcut in Revit. It's PT, and it's short for paint, and it's under, let's see where I can find it here. It's under modify, and then somewhere in here is paint. I always use PT, so I'm not exactly sure where it is. It's right there. That's where the paint is. Okay, and that allows you to apply a material. It applies it to one side or one face, whatever face you click on. So as part of my love-hate relationship with Revit, I like that it can do that. So PT. Then I need to find my material, and there it is, wood floor AP. I click on that, and then I click on the top of the floor. Okay, and then it assigns it. Okay, now it defaults it at a 1 foot by 1 foot size. So if I was to render that, if I was to go to manage and go to, not manage but view, if I go to view and I go to render, okay, so default for this is probably draft and then screen. Okay, so we'll go with that for right now. Okay, so it's not really showing up very well, this wood floor texture. It doesn't, it looks more like a cork or something like that. So I want to make an adjustment to that size of the material, that it's basically being applied too small. So if I go to manage and I go to materials, my wood floor AP, I go over to appearance, and I go down to the same pull down where I applied image, but all the way at the bottom there's an edit image. Okay, so it uses a 1 foot by 1 foot size, and we said that that is 9 feet by 9 feet. So we go down to our sample size and we change that to 9 feet by 9 feet. It already makes it square. So Revit is looking for a square material sample. So that's another reason why it should be square, but you could always unlock it in Revit if it wasn't square. Okay, so let's click on done. Let's click on apply. So it changed the size here. I can see that it has already changed the size of that. Okay, now another thing I'd like to do is I'd like to make it somewhat reflective. So if I go to Reflectivity and I click that on, there's two. There's a direct and an oblique, and I keep those the same. So let's start with about, the default was 50, which is not bad. So I'm going to leave that at 50 and keep those the same. So one is a reflection directly looking at it, and one is where you're kind of off on an angle. Okay, so I'm going to go back to view, click on render, go ahead and render that out. Alright, so now we see a size. We actually see, now it's a draft rendering, it's at screen resolution, but we actually see some wood flooring, and what's nice is we see some reflectivity. It's pretty reflective. We see this nice Corbeau chaise lounge being reflected in it. Alright, let's make a wall on the side of this object, so, or the side of this model. So I'm going to save. It's important to save as, right, as much as possible. Okay, so I'm going to go to another view. I'm going to go to my level 1 view. Just looking at something here, see how many files I have open. So I'm going to close this one. Alright, so I'm going to close this level 1 too. Alright. Alright, so here's my level 1. Doesn't have any walls on the side here. So I'm going to go ahead and make a wall. I'm going to go to my architecture tab. I'm going to click on wall. The default wall is 8 inches. Let's see what else we have here. We have generic 8. Do we have a generic 6? Yes, we have a generic 6 inch. So I'm going to choose that. And I'm going to draw that from the finished face exterior. So all that means is when I'm drawing it, it's along my line, my cursor line is the exterior of the wall. And I'll do that again. Okay, and I'm going to do that on the other side as well. We'll do that when we get to that material. So for right now, this doesn't have any openings in it, but I want to put some openings in it for the light to come through. So I'm going to go to a west view. Okay, so north, south, east, west. I'm going to go to a west view. Okay, so looking at the walls that were drawn, you can see they're not the right height. They're very tall. They're 20 feet tall by default. So I can select both of those walls, and I can make the top constraint. I can change it from unconnected up to level 2. Just going to click OK, up to level 2. Now, I'm going to tab through here. Okay, so up to level 2 is up to level 2, which is, of course, right? Which is at 10 feet. But I want to make that minus 1 foot. So that top offset, I want to make that negative 1 foot. So I just want to make sure that I'm tabbing through. So I'm pressing and releasing the tab key when I do this. Just got to get my cursor right there. Hold my shift key down. Not my shift, my control key. Okay, so I have both of those selected, and I want my top offset to be negative 1 foot. Okay, so now it's going right to the bottom of the ceiling. Alright, so I'm also, what I want to do is I want to edit the profile. I want to put some large openings in it. So you might have missed that, but if I select the wall, and from the main ribbon there's an edit profile. And that's what the edit profile does, is it allows you to put openings in the walls. So I can click on edit profile, and I can draw some rectangles. I'm going to draw some big rectangles here. So make them about 4 foot by 6 foot 6, and I'm going to copy this. So now what I'm doing is I'm putting my cursor over one edge, press release the tab key once, then select, type in CO for copy, copy this over. I don't think I'll be able to fit 3 in here. Let's see. Yeah, I can fit 3. Not bad. Just try to get it perfect. Alright, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do the same thing for this wall. Click on it, click on edit profile, draw myself a rectangle. Copy that. I'm using the shortcut CO for copy. Okay. Alright, so now we have a bunch of windows that can allow light to come in. So let's go to our camera 1 view. Okay. So we're not seeing all of those windows, but we see a few. We see one. Alright. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to turn this wall into a brick wall. So I want to find a brick sample. So let's go over to the web, and let's find brick wall seamless texture. Okay, so this is where I want to be looking for a square texture, and one of fairly large area. This isn't giving me the best results yet. just looking down here. It's funny, this happened to me last time when I did this with the Rhino. I didn't really find anything I like with the brick wall seamless texture. This one's not square, I wish it was. Here's a square one. Alright, so I'm going to go with that one. Okay, I'm going to save it. This is one that gave me a really bad, terrible name, so I'm going to call this one brick. Okay, so I need to find out how many rows of brick. Each row of brick is about 2.6 inches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay, 24 times 2.66, 63 inches. So it's about 5, let's say 5 feet square area of brick that we're looking at. So 5 feet. Alright. So now let's say I want to isolate this object. If I select it, let me close out of this. It's been a while since I've done this in Revit. So I want to select it and then type in HI for hide isolate. Okay, so if I wanted to isolate it, I select it, type in HI. It temporarily hides everything else. I'll show you how to get everything else back in a second. So now we have this by itself. Okay, so let's make a brick material. So we'll go to Manage, we'll go to Materials, and we're going to make a new material. So Create New Material. I clicked on the little down arrow. Create New Material. It defaults it as Default New Material. I can right click on it, rename it, call it Brick Wall AP. Okay, I'll go over to Appearance, go down to Image, go down to the down arrow for Image, choose Image, choose my brick texture, so now if I just click Apply and OK, and I use my Paint, PT for Paint, now I want to make sure that I'm on the brick material. So it's alphabetical, so I got to go up to B. There it is there. And paint that. Okay. So again, there's a size issue here. Now, it's really dark at the moment. Let's change it to the right size though to begin with. So go to Materials, Brick Wall AP, go to Appearance, go to the down arrow for Image, go to Edit Image. We're going to change this to 5 feet. Okay, so now we can see some brick on there. So I wonder if changing my environment will brighten it. But as I'm saying that, I'm realizing that that's only going to brighten up the actual rendering when we make the rendering. Okay, so let's get everything else unhidden. So there's a little light bulb down here as Reveal Hidden Objects, and it's just showing me everything that's hidden, and I can select those objects. And also the ceiling. And I can right click and say unhide in view. I was hoping it would just say elements. My love-hate relationship with Revit. Okay, let's see, did that work? Unhide in view. Strange that it's not letting me unhide these. Okay, so I know they were temporarily hidden, so that's probably the thing. They weren't permanently hidden. So that's the issue. Alright, so let's walk us all through that. Even myself, it's been a while since I did that. So it's a temporary hide isolate. So let's say I want to just isolate this floor object. I can select the floor. HI is the shortcut. Everything else is temporarily hidden. Nothing's been permanently hidden. So then I can click on the light bulb and reset temporary hide isolate, and it shows me everything. Now if I wanted to permanently hide something, let's say I want to select this column and I want to permanently hide it, I can have it selected. I can right click and go to hide in view elements, and I think maybe a shortcut is HE, maybe EH. Yeah, EH is the shortcut. I like to use the shortcuts. So EH, so that was something that was permanently hidden. So if I want to see that, then I can go into my light bulb, select it, unhide in view elements, and unclick that. So there's permanently hide and there's temporarily hide. Okay, I didn't plan on getting too much into it, but it's good to see that. Alright, so we have our wood floor, we have our brick wall. Let's make a marble texture for the columns. So I'm going to save this. Let's see what our rendering looks like. So go to View, Render. Okay, so if I want this to be brighter, I can adjust the exposure. I can come here and adjust exposure, and I can go to brighter. I gotta click apply though. Okay, so it's not totally interactive. I gotta keep clicking apply when I move it. So if you're looking for this to be brighter, you can do it through the exposure value. Okay, so let's go over to the web and let's find a marble. I'll look for a white marble. Okay, white marble seamless texture. Alright. This one looks pretty good. Square. Open image in new tab. Save it. Now this looks like about 1 foot of marble, but maybe I can get away with 2 feet just by exaggerating that a little bit. Okay. So we're going to make a marble texture. We're going to go to Manage, Materials, make a marble, create new material. Right click on that, rename it. I'm going to call this Marble AP. Go over to Appearance. Go to the down arrow for Image. Choose Image. Choose Marble. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and change the size of that. Go to Edit Image and change that to 2 feet. Okay. Alright, I'm going to use my PT. Now this one's a little harder to paint. Well, first I got to find it, so I got to go down to Marble. Marble AP. And so I have to paint and I just had to make sure I get the sides too. I don't know if I've gotten the front of this. Okay, looks like I did a pretty good job just kind of tabbing, pressing and releasing the tab key. Alright, let's go ahead and render that. Alright, so it doesn't look too bad, the marble, actually. I mean, it looks like it's the right scale. If I wanted to exaggerate it, I could make it even larger than 2 feet. I could make it 4 feet if I really wanted the veining to show up. But it looks pretty good. Alright, so I'm going to now make 3 more materials. One for our outside wall on the right here, one for our ceiling, and then we're going to make a glass. We haven't put a glass into the scene yet. So this outside wall that I'm going to make on the right side, so I'm just going to go to Architecture, Wall. Just going to use a basic wall generic 6-inch. Finish face exterior. Now when I start to draw, if my finish face exterior is on the outside, on the right, and I want it to be on the inside, I just hit the space bar once. And I can hit escape when I'm done, and I can draw that again. Space bar will get it on the inside. Okay. So now if I go to my camera, you see I have this wall here. I'm just going to make this a painted color, just a color. I don't need it to be a texture. So I can go to Manage, Materials, and I can make a new material. I can right click and rename it. It's going to call this Gray Paint AP. Go to Appearance. Okay, so for this one, the color, I'm going to make it a dark gray. So that's more of a black. And it's pretty close to what it was. Let's try that. Okay, let's use PT, and we'll paint that. That painted it with the marble. So I got to be real careful with that. I was like, why is that bright white? So I'm going to go down to this I called paint. I call it gray paint. So I'm going to paint that. Also looks like this wall is really high when I select it. I can tell if I go to west elevation, there it is. So I can drag it down. That's another way to do it. Drag these down. That's a fun, easy way to do it. Okay. Now, I want to add a little reflectivity to that. So gray paint, under appearance, I want to click on the reflectivity and I'll bring it down to say like 20. Alright, awesome. Now I'll make a white material for the ceiling. So I will go here to the down arrow, create new material. I'll right click and I'll rename this. This is going to be white paint AP. Go to appearance, make the color white. Give that some reflectivity of 20 as well. If the computer can handle it, you know, a little bit of reflectivity is nice if it can render out. I don't have the fastest computer in the world, and it'll handle it. So PT, gotta go down to white paint. Alright, let's see. I'm gonna save this, see what this looks like when it renders. A little too reflective. A little bit too much reflectivity. I think when the exposure value is really high, you get a lot of reflectivity on it, but I'm glad to see that the wall and the ceiling are different colors. Alright, so I'll go back into my materials. And lower the reflectivity of the white paint. I'll make it 10. And then also the gray paint. Where are you hiding, gray paint? Use the shortcut keyboard. You can type in G, it'll get you to gray. Okay, so now let's add in some glass. Okay, and we're going to do this using a curtain wall. So I will do this with, I guess we'll do these back two first. So I'll go to level 1. Doesn't really matter if I'm going to do it in level 1. And I'm going to go to architecture and I'm going to go to wall. And I'm going to go down to curtain wall. Curtain wall 1. And the nice thing about this is it draws a glass object for me, and it's going to already have a material on it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and draw that. Use my space bar. Get it on the inside. Draw another one. Use my space bar. Okay, and don't worry. It looks like there's a little bit of an offset from the outside. Don't worry about that. Not too worried about the position of the glass. But if I go to a view, let's say I go to my north view, my north elevation. Okay, I can see by default those were 20 feet tall. I can drag those down. Okay, perfect. So now on my west view, I'm also going to make a curtain wall. So let's do this from, I'll do it from the level 1 view and I'll make an adjustment. So I'll go to wall, curtain wall. I'm going to put these at the middle. Okay. It's going to tell me that the walls overlap, which is okay. It's not a big deal. When I go to the west view, I'm going to select a wall, and I'm going to fit it in to the window, and then I'm going to copy it. Just using CO for copy. See, did I draw these the same size? It's going to tell me now that it overlaps in this wall. No big deal, because that's a separate wall. CO for copy. Revit. Love, hate, Revit. Love, hate. Shouting at me. Okay. Alright, so that's all my glass. So let's render this out and see what this looks like. Under view, render. Okay, better. Alright, so I want to render this out at the high resolution and bring it into Photoshop and add a cityscape background to it. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go to Printer, Resolution, 300 dpi. That's 1800 by 1350 pixels. Let's change the setting. Let's change it to medium. I don't need to go to high or best. I can get away with medium just fine. Okay, if your computer is super fast and you want to go for it, go for it. Alright. Okay, my background style is transparent. Alright, let's go ahead and render this out. Alright, it's going to take a little time. It's coming. So I think one thing to point out is what you're noticing, those of you who render in whatever software you render in, my students typically render in Rhino. And Rhino and Revit, and the way that I'm approaching this, they're very similar. It's just a matter of finding where things are at. Where is the button to create a material? Where is the button to assign a material? How do you adjust the scale in Revit or Rhino? It's actually nice in Revit because you don't have to make a texture box like you had to make in Rhino. So it's actually a little bit easier to size it in Revit. So my point is with that is don't worry about, if you go to a firm and they're using Revit to render, or they're using Rhino to render, or Enscape or Lumion or Twinmotion. There's all these different rendering engines out there. Don't worry about that. You'll pick up on the new rendering software really easy when you know the basics. That's what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to teach you the basics of the software. Okay, so that we made that, so I'm going to export that. Okay, and call it camera 1, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to head over to Photoshop and open that up. Okay, there's the PNG. Alright, wonderful. Alright, so let's go onto the web and we'll search for a skyline background. Alright, so I was using, forget which one I was using last time, but it's not really a night shot, so I'm going to have to pick a daytime shot. Why don't I put the great city of Chicago in there today? I'm missing the city since I haven't been down to Columbia College in a while, so I'm missing the skyline. Okay, so let's open image in new tab. Okay, I'm going to save that. Call it skyline. Open that up. Now I know it's going to come into my file. Well, let's see, image size. No, it's not. I was worried it was going to come into the file large. Did I save the large version of it? I guess I did. Alright, so let's take that, Control A, Control C, go over and paste it in. Now I'm going to put this in the back of the layer. And I'm going to scale it. Because it came in pretty small. Okay, and just got to be careful with the horizon. That looks pretty good. Now I don't want it to show up that much. So I'm going to make a new layer. And on that new layer, I'm going to fill it with white. So I'm going to go to Edit, Main Menu, Fill, change that to white. And I'm going to lower the opacity of that. Okay. Alright, so it just kind of fades away, fades to the background. Alright, fantastic. I'm going to save that. So that was everything that I wanted to cover in today's material. Today's tutorial on materials in Revit. Next week we're going to look at lighting, adding lighting into Revit. And just a reminder, if your scene's coming out too dark because we don't have lights in here, remember to go to Image, Adjust Exposure. Alright, if you like this video, go ahead and click on a like below. Let me know why you liked it in the comments. My head's going to pop up in the upper left. Go ahead and click on my head if you haven't subscribed. And I'll put some links to some other Revit videos in the upper right and the lower right. Have a great day, and I will see you next time.